And now, our feature presentation.
I like it spooky.
Hey everybody, welcome to the I Like It Spooky Horror Podcast. I'm Brian.
I am Clint, and we are once again joined here in the spooky studio by our Indie Spotlight co-host, the spooky girl behind Pure Macabre herself, Miss Leah Stalker.
Hi, thank you. Ooh, that was a good introduction. I love that.
You know, I kind of did that when we had Brian Clark in the show. I did this little game show host kind of thing, and it seemed to go over well. So I think I'm going to keep doing it.
It makes you feel good. You feel like, oh, I'm special for a moment.
Well, wait till we talk about the movie you made us watch. So we let Leah choose the movie of conversation today, but before we get to that, let's get to some horror news.
So my news this episode is about Evil Dead, and it's from our friends at iHorror.com. And it looks like the franchise is getting 2 new installments. It was a big deal when Freddy Alvarez came back, made the new Evil Dead. And I mean, we enjoyed it. I feel like we all liked it, but they're going to be doing more.
So I'm sorry, I hate to correct, because I'm wrong all the freaking time. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought Freddy Alvarez did the remake in, 2019 or whatever it was? I can't remember the year.
2013.
13, okay. And I don't remember who directed Evil Dead Rise. So these 2 new installments are going to be from the same director as Evil Dead Rise?
No, it looks like Sebastian Vanisse. It's a foreign name with a bunch of apostrophes and stuff above all the letters. So you know it isn't how it's spelled. He's got an upcoming film that delves into the Deadite universe and should be a proper sequel to the latest film. But it says we are broadsided that Francis Galupa and Ghost House Pictures are doing a one-off project set in Raimi's universe based off an idea that he pitched to Raimi himself. And it's under wraps. There's not really any information about it.
I guess besides the particulars, it's cool, especially for Evil Dead fans, that the universe is going to continue to expand. And I think as we get more spin-offs and more extra story and just different movies, that will kind of ripple effect further away from Ash, and then hopefully people, the diehard fans who are hung up on the fact that it's not Ash, that Bruce Campbell's not in it, that grip will let loose a little bit. People can enjoy them.
I think one of the things that we talked about when we covered Evil Dead Rise on the show was going back to the church with the priests that were on the record.
Doing like a prequel.
Yeah, we thought that would have been a great idea. So who knows? I would definitely be lined up to see that. If it's like their newest one, I need to go back and watch the 2013 one. I was kind of liking that space where some of these people still are at, where it's not Bruce Campbell, so I didn't like it. But I remember being on a date, maybe, and the person I was with had their eyes covered while the girl was taking the knife to her arm, but you couldn't cover your ears enough to not hear that.
No. Did you see the 2013 remake of Evil Dead, Leah?
I think so. I'm going to toss out a really weird scene, but I think that this was in it. Was it something with a girl and maybe some aggressive thorns or something along that line? Very invasive.
Well, that's like every Evil Dead movie has the rapey trees.
Is that an evil? So I think that I saw it where like the girl was getting, what is that, when she's getting taken off drugs or something like that, and then they take her into a cabin in the woods.
Detox,
yeah. So she was going to detox in the woods, and then someone was like, I found this weird fucking book, obviously we should read it aloud over candlelight or something along those lines.
The book is bound in human flesh and inked in human blood. It deals with demons, demon resurrection, and those forces which roam the forest and dark bowers of man's domain. The first few pages warn that these enduring creatures may lie dormant, but are never truly dead.
So I do think I remember seeing that one. I'm not very well versed in the Evil Dead. Actually, that was a movie where my parents let me see Evil Dead when I was younger, and it scared the ever-loving shit out of me. And it was one of the reasons why I stopped watching horror movies, because for months after that, I was haunted by seeing skeletons crawling around on my floor and things like that. Like, just where I had too much of an overactive imagination. Love that. I do remember the remake.
Well, maybe you'll check out some of these potential projects that Brian's talking about here, and it'll get you back into it, because one of the mainstays, of course, is the gore and the splatter. The 2013 had that tenfold. That was one of the things I loved about that movie. Not so much in Evil Dead Rise. It was there, and there were the cringy scenes and stuff, but I thought the 2013 had more. I also saw something. Evil Dead news is a lot like Friday the 13th news. You see one thing, you see another thing. It's always flooded. And Bruce Campbell has stated, I'm never coming back as Ash. He says he's getting too old to do the physical part and the physical slapstick humor of that character. But I swear I just saw an article the other day where he said that he would come back under the condition that it was Sam Raimi and there was something else. So who knows? You still might see Bruce.
You could do so much with him as the manager of S-Mart, have a younger person be the one that carries on. Him be in it, but have a younger person be the main person.
Though they had so much potential with Ash vs. Evil Dead, the series, which in my opinion trumps the whole film series. It was the best product they put out. Of course, there was 3 seasons and then it abruptly ended and everybody was wanting more. But they had the perfect setup. Ash brought his daughter in, and she was just as badass as he was and was kind of coming of age and learning how to be the badass Williams girl. You had Pablo. You had, I can't remember her name right now. Dana's the actress's name. I can't remember the Kelly. Kelly was the character name. And so you had what were they called? The Ghost Beaters. You know, you had this new generation that were kind of helmed by Ash, and they could have continued with that. And they were talking about continuing that in a comic series and also an animated series. Like I say, the news gets so flooded with Evil Dead news. You hear about that, then it goes away, then it comes back in a different reincarnation.
Now I'm excited for some more Evil Dead.
Groovy.
Yeah. It's all going to be better than the game, right?
Yes, the game was not very groovy. Oh, I remember I was so excited for that fucking game, and after like 20 minutes, I was like, if I wanted to play Fortnite, I'd play Fortnite. What the fuck is this?
What kind of news do you have that is groovy?
This is very groovy. And it's kind of funny because we're talking about video games and I brought up Friday the 13th. This is an article from Bloody Disgusting. This article was actually posted about a month ago, April 4th. And so some people might have heard about this already. Fans are bringing back Friday the 13th, the game, with the new resurrected build. So what's going on here is the multiplayer slasher Friday the 13th, came to a sad end back in 2018 with the legal battle issues. No new content could be created for the game. They took the servers down. The game is still going, but if I remember what we reported on the news when this, about a year ago, I think, when maybe 6 months ago, when news of this broke, like I was playing it the other day, a couple days ago. You can still play, but I think by Christmas of 2024 of this year, it's going to be just gone. So some fans got together and basically did a mod. And according to this article, it said that on April 15th, today's record date is April 28th, that they were going to announce when the release date for this resurrected fan-made mod version was going to hit. It was going to launch on PC. It said it will have everything from the base game that's included, including the Savini Jason. They'll be hosting their own servers. It'll get continuous updates post-launch. All content that did not make it in the official game will be in our mod. Content that didn't make it was like they were going to have Uber Jason from Jason X. Jason Goes to Space. They were going to have the spaceship maps, different weapons, different kills, stuff like that. It also says here that you won't need the base game to enjoy our mod. The download will be available on our Discord server. This article included a trailer, and I watched it, and it was badass, and it got me really excited. They had like a rubber raft kill from part 4, different Jasons, different weapons, a lot of fun stuff that I always wanted to see in the game but never saw. Now that I'm reading this article right now, which again is a month old, the video is unavailable, and it says due to a copyright claim by Horror Inc. And I have not heard of the release, so I don't know what's going on.
Somebody was upset they didn't get their cut of the pie, or they own the rights to something, so they stepped in probably and stopped it. Who has the rights to this now? Who owns this? Do you have any idea? Do we know, like, who?
The last I remember reporting, and this doesn't mean that it's correct, was Victor Miller, the original writer of the original Friday the 13th. He held on to the original story rights and the original character names, but I believe that was only overseas. And then Sean Cunningham held on to everything else past part 1 and the original US. And I could be screwing that up because it's been a while since we talked about it, but I'm pretty sure it was something like that.
Is it Peacock that the new show's coming out on?
Yes.
If you're Peacock, don't you step in at some point, or somebody that's thrown a lot of money at this, and say, listen, quit fucking around with things. We want an audience for this show, and by allowing this game to happen, you're getting a huge video game audience to come and play this game and be excited about this show.
No, I agree completely. And so look at this. You just brought up Ash vs. Evil Dead, and I'm sorry, Evil Dead the game, which has already crashed and burned. It was around for maybe a year and a half. It was terrible. A lot of people complained about it. It's gone. Friday the 13th, the game, with all of its glitchiness and all of its fuck ups and the fact that no new content's been added in forever. And I get on to play 2 days ago, and I've been actually playing a lot lately in some downtime, which is rare that I have. The rooms are always full. People are still clamoring to play this game, so it's obviously a popular game. Make some money off it. Stop stopping progress, invest some money, get the servers back up, add the mods. Because if anybody listening to the sound of my voice right now saw the trailer for this resurrected Friday the 13th, the game project, it was fucking phenomenal. I was so excited. I got goosebumps when I saw it.
Well, and if you don't allow it to happen, you get nothing. So even if you get 5% of what they make, that's 5% you didn't have before. And you know what's more than nothing? Any fucking thing. Like, didn't you just have this big, lengthy legal battle that cost you money? You probably need some money.
I know I could use some money.
If we're just getting money, I would love some money.
So on this episode of Wire Report, I went down to Forgotonia, I think was what the name of the setup was. This little market that they had with vintage clothes, records, movies, books. I mean, just all kinds of fun, odd stuff. I bought some stuff. First thing I bought, we stopped, and I don't have this because Finley's reading it right now. We bought Goosebumps. The Wolf of, I don't even fucking know, Green Swamp or some shit. And so we've been reading it to her in the car. We'll take like turns reading a chapter. But I did grab from Secondhand Smoke, and it's here in Galesburg, Illinois, where I live. That's where I bought the book from. And their business cards are matches. But if you turn it over, it says, spell out Ouija for a taste of evil.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wait. So is this a bookstore or is this a horror-themed smoke shop? Or is it both?
I think it's like a vintage store. They had books, they had clothes, they had pins, earrings, all kinds of stuff like that. I think they get like some secondhand stuff. So just a mixture, but the guy that I talked to that owns it was, oh, I love your shirt. And I had a TerrorVision shirt on. Oh, I love your hat. I had my Return Living Dad hat on. I gave him a card for this podcast, and I was like, if you guys ever want to listen to something in the show or, in the shop, put the podcast on. Listen to us talk about scary movies.
Goddamn right. Because I tell you what, it looks like based off that matchbook cover there, they also have a sacrifice altar in the back room.
Oh, hey. Is there any sacrifices we could do to make some money?
If there is, let me know.
I'll ask them next time I go in there.
Okay, that'd be nice.
Picked up some movies from our friends over at Strange Behavior. It's a couple of friends, my barber and my buddy Ian that was at the Orpheum Theater. They started a little resale business, a little side business. I mean, they have more movies, and Ian has posters upon posters upon posters of Italian smut films and just all kinds of films from Spain and Italy and all over the world that I'm like, what the hell is this? So the first one I picked up.
Oh, wait, I got to ask right before you show them. So they have a brick and mortar store. They opened up a store. Do they ship things also?
No, they don't have a store yet. Secondhand Smoke does have a store. They are just kind of dipping their toe into things, and this was like their first event they set up at. It was at the Vault, that place that we had the meet before the double feature. Yeah, it was on the other side, and they just there's probably 20 vendors in there with myriads of, like I said, books and records and vintage clothing. The first movie I've picked up, and this is weird, I've been hearing a lot about this. Dead Girl. I've never seen it. It's about a group of kids that are like playing hooky, and they find this person that's almost dead or dead, and they want to torture her.
I've dated some women that look like the girl on the cover of that movie at some point in the evening.
But then it doesn't go too well for them. Here, this looks right up Leah's alley. Tumbling Doll of Flesh. It's Japanese.
Oh, that cover is sick.
It looks like a spoon. It looks like, remember the Forky from Toy Story 4?
Yeah.
It looks like a horror version of Forky.
That's Forky's sister here on the front.
It's true. I was like, no, it doesn't. Then he held it up again. I was like, oh, shit, he's right.
He's like, I'm not trash. I'm not trash.
The director is known for directing Psycho the Snuff Reels. I don't know. I never heard of that one either. Nogorius, it was $3. I don't know. On the back, she's eating a razor blade. So.
Something tells me the director of that film knows the director of Darius, the first film that we covered on Indie Spotlight.
They're in the same running the same circles.
It's probably the same person. There's a pseudonym.
The Church, I just bought it because I own it, but it was in a yellow case from Britain. So I was like, okay.
So, Leah, I'm not trying to undermine you, but I'm assuming you never saw this movie. Brian, have you seen The Church before?
Yes.
Fun fact for anybody who doesn't know, Brian, I'm sure you know, I'm curious if you do, that The Church is technically Demons Part 3.
Somebody asked, I was like, I don't know, it's like Demons Part 8 or some shit like that. It's one of those weird Italian things where it's not really Demons Part 3, but it is. Do you know they do that? They'll just be like, oh, here's a movie. We don't really have a name for it. That Demons movie was popular. Let's call it Demons 3.
We joke about it all the time, Leah. Like, you'll come across a movie and go, holy shit, there's a Night of the Living Dead Part 6? I didn't know that. And it's just some Italian film that has nothing to do with zombies. You know, they just throw the name on there.
I had no idea that was a thing. That explains why some movies have like 9 parts when they shouldn't.
Then I grabbed this. Gorgo. It's just an old kaiju movie on VHS.
Look at his little face.
I don't know. It was $8 and it was on VHS. And the guy had some other cool movies. I was like, oh, I'll just grab that.
It looks like he's all dressed up, ready to go meet some ladies. He's just like, he's got that look.
Here, we'll save this movie for last.
What's that? He just hit some breast spray.
$5 for this Cemetery
Ooh.
Man shirt.
Oh,
I'm jealous. I actually like that.
That's a really good one.
I've never seen the fucking movie, but I have a shirt to wear if we ever show it here in town. And then the buy of the trip. You ready for this one? Demoniacs.
Fuck you. How much did they pay you to take it?
Yeah. The films of Gene Rollin. Nope, just one. There's that lady, though. She's humping the seaweed on the back here. Must be some good seaweed.
Leah, the lead female villain in this movie is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning.
So my thing is, we know, and you weren't undermining me earlier. I've always been very honest with the fact that I'm not always the most educated when it comes to horror movies. I'm trying, I'm learning. But I will say that the conversations y'all have where I have no context and don't know what the fuck is going on is even funnier than knowing what is going on sometimes. Where you're just like, yeah, there she is, humping that seaweed. What? What?
She probably spent 15 minutes of the movie doing that.
I beg your finest pardon. What is happening? But I absolutely love it.
So you're telling me that for a new horror fan or someone not super well versed in the genre of the industry, that listening to us is kind of like watching Mystery Science Theater 3000 or 2000 or whatever?
Yes, it really is. Because like I said, there's a lot of movies y'all are tossing out right now where I don't know anything about them, but just listening to the commentary on it, fabulous. Subscribe.
Her humping the seaweed is not even the weirdest part.
No.
She's humping the ocean, the seaweed or whatever, and touching herself. But this movie's set in like pirate days, and there's like airplane sounds and bombs going off. What the fuck is this?
I still don't think that's the weirdest part. I think the weirdest part is when the vixen and the captain are in their bedroom, because they're a couple, and he's stroking her dead pigeon, and she's trying to seduce him from the bed, and he's just like stroking this pigeon like it's his penis. And then like when he gets to the point where he's can't take anymore, he like breaks its fucking neck. And then you think like, that's just symbolism for the height of ecstasy. But then if I remember correctly, he just like gets mad and leaves or something. I don't know. Fuck, God damn it, Brian Clark.
I have no words.
Did you buy a new pigeon? You got anything, Clint?
I didn't buy a new pigeon. We actually do have a stuffed pigeon in the house. It was the girls and they were younger, and now I have it next to my computer, and I look at it, and every time I talk about demoniacs, it looks at me with these evil eyes. I have not bought anything. I'm actually saving up my money because I'm going to go ahead and get Leah like therapy. I'm going to pay for her therapy after having to listen to us talk about stroking sexual broken-necked pigeons.
Thanks. I love it.
I haven't gotten anything for the collection. I have been starting to invest some more money into the Nugget, but I'm not going to go on and on. You'll have to see it. I just kind of randomly post pictures, but I've been getting some new chairs and random chandeliers and just a lot of cool stuff. I was actually shortly before this recording going to get something for the collection. I haven't in a while, and I was going to order the NECA Nosferatu that's out and the NECA London After Midnight Lon Chaney action figure. I got online, I was getting ready to order, and then I remembered that anytime I order from, not all the time, but sometimes when I order from NECA or not NECA, from Target or Walmart or something like that, the box is dinged up. I don't know if any of the listeners, diehards, remember my ongoing saga about trying to get the Frankenstein accessory pack that Brian finally got for me, but I ordered it, it was dinged up. The day I met Leah, I was going to buy one, but it wasn't sealed. So anyway, I stopped myself from ordering these two objects because I thought I'm going to be going to Screamers Costumes sometime real soon. I've been dying to get up there to see the museum, the Walkthrough Horror Museum, and I can't get it out of my head. So I was like, I'm just going to buy the shit from Tim when I get up there to Screamers, and then I'll be able to see it, and I know that it's in good condition.
The museum is amazing. I went on the opening day, but I really need to go back just because I know that they change it up constantly, but you're going to absolutely be obsessed with it. It's so good. I know I'm going to Screamers for the Halfway to Halloween event. If you go then, I'll see you.
I won't be. So Boots has a play, and it's that weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's
a good reason to miss it, I will say. Absolutely.
And on top of that, the Saturday is the oldest is going to prom. So I couldn't get away if I wanted to.
Busy dad weekend. You'll be there in spirit for sure. And then I'm going to buy all the Frankensteins or whatever it is you're trying to get just to annoy you.
And then she'll wear a trench coat, open up the trench coat, I got what you need. I got Nosferatu. I got Lon Chaney.
On the next episode of This Is Why I'm Poor, just to spite Clint.
She's trying to upsell me, charge me a shit ton of money.
Yeah, I'm a reseller now.
Here, I'll show one more thing since you didn't get anything. I got a big light up pumpkin.
Oh, thanks for rubbing it in.
That's cute. Where'd you get him from?
The rummage sale at the church around town.
Is that like a blow mold one?
No, it's like a foam.
Oh, okay. Got you.
It was $4.
Completely worth it. I love that.
And it worked.
And it works? Okay. That's worth the $4. I always love the blow molds and the old-timey Halloween decor things. So I really like that one. That's a really good buy.
Well, if you have old blow molds, they're worth a lot of money now, like $80 to $100. So you can't find those cheap. I was like, for $4, I'll chance it. Maybe it needs a new light bulb. Maybe it needs a new plug. I can do that stuff. I'm handy enough to change out the plug. But it works. I plugged it in. Finley got a little ghost. I think we spent $9 there. It was a rummage sale here in town. That seems to be what people are going to. I know you went to the record sale, Clint. You said it was busy there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I bought a couple records too at the sale for $2 that are just old Halloween, music. I was like, for $2, I could put those on a fucking Sunday and just listen to spooky music.
I think that yard sales and rummage sales are going to be replacing the days of the Salvation Army and Goodwill because Salvo and Goodwill don't know how to price anymore. They will literally have something that has a TJ Maxx tag on it that says it was $3 and then they got it and they upcharge it to $6 and just stuff like that, which doesn't sound dramatic, but I'm at a Salvo, I'm at a Goodwill, I'm there to be cheap, and they're not making it easy. So I think that the rummage sales are the way to go these days.
Well, and there's another place here in town that it's like a Salvation Army. Their money goes to the battered women's shelter. And we go there and we buy toys and we buy movies and stuff. But I was there the other day and there was some Barbie dolls. And they were 8, 10. There was one that was $40. And I was like, is that what it's worth? It's used. Maybe it's a collectible. I don't know. I didn't look, but I'm like, I don't know that I'm going to drop $40 on anything in the purple hanger. I mean, maybe a table.
I know this is a little off topic, but not really. So the other day, the oldest had a tennis match in Lansing, which people not from Michigan, it's the capital of Michigan. It's about 40 minutes north of me. On the way back, we stopped in Mason, just south of there, and we went to A&W. Love going to A&W. Had our friend with us. We got 3 burgers, 3 fries, 3 drinks. It was $47 and some odd cents. To the point where my kid, who still doesn't really have a full grasp of money, if she got a decent grasp and a full grasp, she looked at me and she was like, that doesn't sound right. So all I know is I don't want to take it to A&W for a sponsor, but we should take it to somebody because shit's getting expensive out there and we could use some money.
I don't know. A&W sounds like they got a lot of money.
It was a damn good burger. Whew. Calling all independent horror artists. We here at the I Like It Spooky Horror podcast will be launching a new monthly show later this month with a focus on misfit and up-and-coming filmmakers, authors, comic book artists, musicians, fan films, hell, scrapbookers, we don't care. All you have to do is reach out to us at ilikeitspookypod@gmail.com or any of our social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, or Threads. Tell us what you have going on, and we will do our best to highlight your projects on the show.
So now that we've heard from our sponsor, it's time for the movie. The 1987, Stuart Gordon directed, Charles Band produced, filmed in Italy. I thought these people were fucking British. What the hell? Dolls.
Tonight, in this store, in this house, you will discover something you've never been afraid of before.
They're alive, aren't they?
Dolls. They want to play with you.
Clint, I think, did you watch a different Dolls?
No, I was razzing Leah. I told her that the Dolls that I watched was a porn from 1992, and we were talking before we started recording for the show, I think. Maybe that'll end up on a blooper reel. And I just kept going with it, and then I had her believing that I watched some porn from 92, and the kids were in the room, and it was all her fault.
I'm gullible if you guys haven't figured it out yet. I don't understand sarcasm whatsoever.
I don't think you're gullible. I was just super straight-faced. You never know if I'm telling the truth or not.
So it's the 80s in Italy. Did anybody else think they were in Britain? Is it just me?
Well, I thought that the Madonna girls had British accents. I didn't think anyone else had accents, though. I thought everyone else was just thoroughly American. I only thought that the Madonna girls had an accent.
I agree. I kind of thought it was supposed to be kind of like upstate New York or some kind of just somewhere out east in the country. And then so the two girls with the thick, heavy British accents threw me, especially since the guy they showed up with, Ralph, had a straight American accent. Brian, you rattled off a couple of the names. This had some big names attached to it, so I was really excited when the intro credits started to roll. I mean, Charles Band, Stuart Gordon, you already mentioned, Brian Yunza, and I mean, it also came, you said the year already, but it came at the tail end of that gritty mid to late 80s era in horror movies. So I'm like, oh man, these Stuart Gordon, Brian Yunza, 87. I'm like, fucking here we go.
And we didn't go anywhere according to you?
No, we got like the car. We kind of got stuck in the mud there. And Leah picked this movie for us to watch, and this is, I think, Leah, this is kind of like one of your introductions into horror films, correct?
Yes. So when I was younger, and we've talked about this before, I know, Clint, you've shared your stories. Everyone has that, like the family members that show you horror movies. So for me, on my mom's side, it's my grandparents, all my aunts and uncles, all the cousins. We'd load up onto like the rollout bed and they would watch horror movies. And this is one I distinctly remember of the whole family settling down, which I don't even know if people do so much these days. I know that, Brian, you watch a lot of horror movies with your kids. People are so weird about that stuff these days, but nope, all ages, all family members, we piled in and we watched Dolls. It was at the time perfect for me. I think it had just the right amount of horror. It had the right amount of storytelling. Mind you, I'm a child. I'm a kid. Something about this movie super stuck with me. I watched it today. I still loved it. You said you didn't like it, and I was so confused. Is this not a good horror movie? I love it.
So the reason I brought that up, and I'm glad you explained that, is as I didn't thoroughly enjoy the film. There are things about it I liked. There's a lot that I didn't care for. But I kept that in mind. I kept it in context because there are movies that I love that other people probably think are dumb as shit because I have the same story you just related. So although I'm going to talk about things that I didn't necessarily enjoy, that doesn't mean that it's not a great film for someone else. Brian says similar stuff all the time. So I totally got your connection with this film because I just learned more of the story, but I knew it was something like that. So therefore, it's important. Therefore, it is a good film in its own right. We talk a lot about gateway horror. In fact, we've probably lost listeners because they're like, if they say gateway horror one more fucking time, I'm not going to listen. If those people were smart, they would turn it into a drinking game and say, every time they say gateway horror, I'm taking a shot. I think that this is that half tick above gateway horror in its final presentation. I don't know if that was its intention while it was being produced, but that's how, if I had to throw it in some sort of whatever category, this is that half tick above the gateway to where it's a little more horror than the gateway, but it's still that Leah was 7. I forget the age you said, young and watched it. And of course, I think it did scar her because I don't know if anybody's met Leah in person.
The different experience that I had was being a young girl watching this movie, and the main protagonist is a young girl. So I do think I resonated with her.
Yeah, that relatability.
Yes, I related with her a lot, especially the fact, not to get into details, but she has her dad and her stepmom, and they are not very nice people. And then we have Ralph, who is a very nice person, and the older couple, and they all believe her and are very nice to her. And I think that resonated. But I will say that being a young girl watching this movie and then going to other young girl houses for sleepovers, terrifying. Everyone else had dolls at that age. And so I'm sleeping with all these glass dolls around me, and I'm like, this is terrible. I don't like this. So it did haunt me in some ways.
The movie opens, it's the dad, the evil stepmother, young girl. A storm comes out of nowhere, their car gets stuck. It's raining, but it's not fucking raining. When he gets out of the car, it didn't look like it was raining. They abandon their car, they find an old house, they get in. An older couple points a shotgun at him. He's like, who the fuck are you? Didn't say it like that, but they invite him upstairs for some creamed spinach, it looked like, or something that I would not eat.
You don't like cream spinach? I love cream spinach.
And then Ralph and the other two British girls show up. But I feel like at one point, the older guy said, we got Ralph's motorcycle going. And maybe I was just, distracted by something else. But I'm like, if he had a motorcycle, even the little car he gets in at the end, how did him and all those girls fit in that?
Even with the little Monopoly car at the end, I was like, how did he have those two girls in there? I didn't understand it at all. And also, that was one of those things where it should have pointed out to me that it was filmed in Italy or something like that. Because I was just like, what is this vehicle that he has? It was a Monopoly car. That's what it looked like.
You guys are getting old if you can't picture a single young guy driving along in a small little hip sports car and picking up two, at the time, decked out young ladies. They'll fit in the fucking car. So there's part of this that you're skipping over, and that is when they walked to the house, I saw the teddy bear monster. There's the teddy bear monster. The little girl, Judy, I think was the character's name. She's holding a teddy bear. The evil stepmom comes over, grabs it, throws it in the woods, which was kind of jumping conflict. It was a little jarring. Yeah, you knew she was a witch. So I see the teddy bear monster, and I thought, oh no, I'm in for another Charles Band full moon movie. You knew it was going to be a Charles Band special when you saw that, but I was actually kind of surprised because then the bear morphed into this like mutant monster, and it got kind of fun. And I loved after the bear killed her parents that she was just like, oh, Teddy, like it was just no big deal. But so although it was fun to find out that was a daydream, that was the little girl daydreaming because she was upset about her bear being tossed in the woods, you still realize that it was going to be a Charles Band special because come to find out it was just that this movie wound up being a full moon special.
I'm surprised it took you till that point in the movie to figure that out. Because when you start the movie, it's 2.5 fucking minutes before the movie starts. And the movie's only an hour and 17 minutes long. You get the whole fucking, all these creepy dolls for 2.5 minutes while everybody's name in the movie comes across the screen. So this is only like an hour and 15 minutes long. And then they had to add 15 more minutes of filler at some point to get it over an hour so that it'd be a feature-length movie.
In addition to that, this was a little bit farther down in my notes. For the most part, typical Charles Band, there was a whole lot of character development. And I wrote down that I was 25 minutes into the film and was still waiting for something to happen. Granted, the teddy bear thing had happened, within the first 7 or 8 minutes or whatever. But still after that, it was just, hi, I'm Judy. Do you like dolls? Let's go take her to your bedroom. I don't like my daughter. Her mom's a bitch. And it just, we're Madonna dress-alikes, and it was just like, something happened. It was well over 25 minutes before you realized that in the reality of the movie that the dolls were actually alive.
Don't you get like a couple of dolls to do this?
Yeah, and that was it. The eyes move and their cheek kind of curled and
the cheeks curl up. And see, the thing is like, and like you said, it might not be your cup of tea. It was mine, I think, mostly for nostalgia. But I thought that all of the opening stuff was hilarious. I loved finding out the Madonna girl. When I was younger, I had a babysitter who dressed exactly like that, and it was just the absolute coolest to have these Madonna lookalikes. I loved it all. I didn't know, and I don't know anything about the director of it being what is his name?
No, Charles Band was the producer. Charles Band heads up Full Moon, which now it's Full Moon Features now, or it was Full Moon Entertainment. I think back then it was just full moon. So, I mean, there's almost a subgenre, kind of like trauma. You know what trauma is, right?
Yes, I do.
Full Charles Band is like Lloyd Kaufman, and Full Moon is like Trauma. As far as their own production companies that just churn out a bunch of similar style movies.
This was before Full Moon, though. So this was his Empire Pictures.
Thank you. Yep, you're right. This was just Empire Pictures.
Which was before Full Moon, and that's the box set I have from Arrow. This movie's not in that box set, but there's a lot of other movies. And I was watching this, and I'm like, this has to be pre-Puppet Master? And I looked, and it is. It's a couple years before the first Puppet Master.
Speaking of Puppet Master, Guy Rolfe, who played the old man, he also played Andrew Toulon in the Puppet Master series. I think like 2 through 4 or something like that.
Yeah, and Puppet Master's fun, and if this is what spawned Puppet Master, I mean, I'll take it.
So I've actually never seen Puppet Master. I will get on it, and I will have to do that 100%. This is one of the other things that I love about watching movies with you guys, is just because while this has been like a staple in my life, I don't know any of these facts. You guys deep dive so hard on stuff, and then I get to learn all these other new fun things of it kind of preempting Puppet Master and all this sort of stuff. So I enjoy that. I mostly just watch it and I go, fuck yeah, Teddy, get him. Like this.
Right.
If you want to watch Puppet Master 1 through 82, I have a box set over here. There's not really that many, but there seriously is like 14 Puppet Master movies probably. I mean, they just churned them out and churned them out.
After part 4, you're kind of like, huh? What? You asked about the directors' names and stuff. So Charles Band, he presented it. It was produced by Brian Yunza. I feel like a jerk right now because I can't think of a lot of his movies, but Brian Yunza was heavily involved, as well as Stuart Gordon, who was the director of Dolls, and he was also the director of Reanimator, which the Reanimator series and Bride of Reanimator and then Beyond Reanimator. Jeffrey Combs, absolute classics, based on H.P. Lovecraft story, gore fest, scary, great fucking movies. Also, Stuart Gordon, the film he directed, and I think he directed it before, but it came out after. But anyway, the film that came out after Dolls was From Beyond, which again is a gore fest and a great fucking movie. Brian's, mentioned it a few times. And come to find out, the set for Dolls was also utilized for From Beyond.
Well, and probably the craziest thing that Stuart Gordon, outside of all of that, is he was the writer for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck? I would imagine he got a nice paycheck from writing that and getting it made into a movie, but...
That's like when I found out that the guy who directed Porky's, Bob Clark, is the same guy who did Black Christmas. Oh, and...
What?
Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. And the big kicker, when I found this out, it blew my mind, was A Christmas Story. Ralphie, you're going to shoot your eye out. So you're telling me the guy who fucking directed Reanimator is the same guy that directed Honey, I Shrunk the Kids?
No, he wrote the story. Yeah, and he was an executive producer on Honey, I Blew Up the Kids.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that.
It goes Reanimator, From Beyond, Dolls, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Was like his body of work.
Well, since we're talking about crossovers and connections, I was really excited when we met Ralph because, yep, you guessed it, Ralph was in an episode of Night Court.
He's got that face that you're like, God, I know this guy from somewhere.
I thought so too, but then I think I was confusing him with the guy from Lord of the Rings.
I could see that. He kind of looks like him. Like he could be Sean Astin's older brother or something.
Yep. The timeline obviously did not match up at all, but in my head, that's who I kept imagining him as. So, oops. But he did have one of those faces where the whole time I was like, somewhere. I've seen you somewhere. Speaking
of Ralph, I have a question for you guys. I've been dying to ask you. And speaking of connections, speaking of Ralph told the story earlier on in the movie. I don't know how early it was. It was before any action happened. So about halfway through the movie.
Oh.
He's telling the old guy played by Guy Rolfe, the story that his father told him when we all go to sleep at night, the toys come to life. And I'm sitting there listening to the way he's telling the story. And I was like, I wonder if this movie influenced Toy Story.
Oh.
I have no proof, no connection. I didn't dig too hard, but I didn't find anything. But I'm just curious. You watch something, you're like, oh, that'd be a good idea if I did this, this, and this. Leah's scary ass movie potentially led to Toy Story.
I listened to that story, and there's a little bit of humor in this, mostly from Ralph. He said he put the cookies under his bed at night. And then I think the older gentleman said, well, did the toys eat him or something like that? And he said, no, but I raised several very healthy families of ants.
Yep. Ralph, in my opinion, had a good delivery. He was just a very likable, nice guy. I genuinely didn't want anything bad to happen to Ralph. And that was the other thing why my brain loves this movie so much, is the fact that bad people get bad stuff and the good people get good stuff. And I really like it in the black and white terms of that, which is maybe a little sinister or something along those lines. But the people who do bad things, they got it.
And that was the message throughout most of the movie. And I kind of enjoyed that also. I was like, it led to the movie being fairly predictable, but still. But at the very end, after all, the dad, the evil stepmom, the two British girls are dead, turned into dolls, which is kind of a cool twist. Again, predictable. But Ralph and Judy are getting ready to get in his car and leave. And then the old couple lean in and get all sinister and straight-faced and like, you guys should really stay. We want you to be here forever. And I'm like, holy shit, are they going to flip? And again, it was jumping. The conflict was jumping. All of a sudden, they've been so kind and sweet to these people. And then all of a sudden, I thought they were going to murder them.
The old people were hard to read sometimes, in my opinion, because obviously, there's something going along with it. I don't think that they would have done anything sinister. I'd like to believe that that they just really wanted them to stay in their magical little house, and then they would have to be okay with murder from dolls, maybe?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
I think they would have probably turned them into dolls. That's how they keep people there. Because in the end, all the dolls are people. Remember, we get through the movie and all the bad people are gone, except for the dad. He's still alive. And what do they do to him?
They turn him into a doll.
Yeah, they turn him into Punch.
I thought it was going to get sinister, though. I thought that the old couple at the end were getting old and getting ready to die, so they were going to transfer themselves into Ralph and Judy, which would make it even kind of like on Skeleton Key, the movie Skeleton Key.
I love Skeleton Key.
I love that movie too, but it would have been even more diabolical just because Judy was 7. So then now it's kind of icky, but that didn't happen. I didn't read anything where that was a concept. This is again another one of those movies. If you go in the Internet Movie Database, there are fun facts and trivia galore. So maybe something like that is true, and I just didn't read it. Something I saw that I enjoyed. Back to the Madonna character, which I don't know if that was her name, but she was dressed, head to toe, Madonna.
Isabel and Enid.
Enid's the one who looked like Madonna. When she got attacked and killed by the dolls, I loved the camera placement. They did the first person because the dolls she was on her belly on the ground and the dolls were ramming her like a battering ram into the floorboard, the baseboard of the wall. And so you had the camera put there to make it look like that, and blood was everywhere. And so they made it interesting.
I thought you were going to say, when she got attacked, I liked that her nipple came out. That's the only nudity in the whole movie. But if you look, when they pull her, maybe from behind, her shirt comes down, you can see one nipple. And I'm like, did they see that?
I didn't see it.
I did not see the wardrobe malfunction.
What is this movie's rating? I was like, they left that in? I know there's
It's R.
Okay, so they were okay with that, leaving that in. But I was
Everyone else missed the nipple except for Brian.
I was watching it on my phone like this, up real close.
Right. I didn't watch a porn. Brian watched a softcore porn.
I know.
Well, now I'm going to go back and watch it because the only character that really, any highlight of this movie for me was the Madonna character because of the way she died. Apparently now because of the nip slip, but also her partial reveal and then full reveal as being turned into the doll when she was stashed up in the attic. Like when the lightning flashed with the partial reveal, it was creepy. And I'm like, ooh, that's good. And then her full reveal where she pops her eyes out and she's just muttering please leave. It was the only part of the movie I thought was actual horror and scary.
I agree. It's a very iconic scene. It kind of echoes the cover of it. So I did mention it in my notes because of that, but actually getting to see it where this Madonna-esque character is holding up her eyeballs. I also liked the other one when she went up against the dolls. And this was an interesting thing because there is so much doll lore, is the fact that, so she takes off her boy toy belt buckle, which is iconic, but she starts smashing the dolls and then all of the dolls have little skeletons inside of them.
That was in my notes too. It was the only other thing that I really enjoyed. And I loved how that they showed that underneath there, they were like these mini rotting zombie creatures. I really wish they would have focused more on that. From what I read originally, they were supposed to just be hollow porcelain. Brian User, whoever wrote this, was given license to go a little more horror with it, and they came up with that. But you only see glimpses of it, just enough to where you're like, ooh, that's interesting. It would have been so cool if we really could have explored that more.
You get a couple glimpses when they're burning and they're melting, that maybe their flesh is melting, because you see like the wax or whatever it is burning off. It leads me to believe that they're all the people that have stopped there, which is a lot of fucking people over the years, because they have a shit ton of dolls.
Yeah, but you saw right at the end, that Ralph and Judith go off into the sunset while Judith is trying to set Ralph up with her mom. She's like, she's down to clown Ralph. Let's do this. But as they pull off into the sunset of their happy ending, another car with an awful mom, an awful dad, and two kids getting yelled at pull up. So this is apparently just a daily occurrence where they just keep getting people pulling up. So maybe that is how they got all the dolls, and that's why they have the little skeletons. But I did like that a lot more than them just being hollow. That's what I was expecting. So that added tiny skeletons, perfect amount of horror.
Much needed amount of horror, because that was the other part that I didn't enjoy about the movie. Was it kind of played out like Leah's looking at me like, shut up, Clint, I hate you.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
It played out like a generic Amazing Stories episode from Steven Spielberg. And the music throughout it was ever present and almost overstayed its welcome. And it was that kind of whimsical fantasy, all those things. It reminds me of like when you watch, I don't have a good example, but when you watch, they'll take Frozen and they'll like recut it like a horror trailer and they'll add the suspenseful music and stuff. This movie was just presented in a different way, where if they just would have altered the music, maybe cut a couple things out, a little less of the comedy and shown a little more of the nip slip or something, it would have been more of a horror movie. But as opposed to that, it's this, like I say, kind of generic Amazing Stories.
I do completely think it's valid, especially with both of you being seasoned horror guys. It is completely valid to look at this and be like, you know what? It's not really my cup of tea. It's completely fine. I'm always very honest saying that I'm, making my way into the horror world. So if you're kind of more at my level, this is the horror that you need. So I, in no way am I offended or upset if anyone doesn't like a movie I like. There's, like you said, plenty of stuff that you guys talk about where I'm like, that sounds terrible. Thank you so much. So it's just people liking different stuff. It's interesting to me just because a lot of the stuff where you're like, I didn't like this, I did like this. I was like, I was just hands up enjoying the ride the whole time.
I think she was probably referring to our Son of Godzilla episode.
Maybe.
Don't know shit about Godzilla, sirs. I don't know.
Gateway horror. Drink. Drink. That means you got to drink. I said it.
Oh, damn it. I'm so out of it today.
If we did that on an episode, we'd all be drunk by then, right?
Fucking movie and fucking demoniacs. So I got one more fun fact. Does anybody have any more fun facts? Because I got one that I want to bring up. No? Nothing? Leah?
I don't have any fun facts about it. I just really love this movie. That's a fun fact.
So I found out that the actress and model Bunty Bailey, who played Isabel, so not the Madonna, but her friend, she is the girl in the Norwegian, and I learned that too, I didn't know it was Norwegian pop group Aha's music video, Take On Me. That's where it was like the comic book sketch light art come to life. Yes! Iconic fucking MTV.
Or the other one?
The other one, not the Madonna one. The one who had the belt buckle and was burning all the dolls.
Okay, so she's the one that was in Aha's music video? This is the funnest fact, because I absolutely love that music video so much. It is the romance of our times. It's so, so good. I love that.
I know. And after that song gets inserted into this podcast, whoever listens to this is going to be singing that song for the rest of the day.
It's already stuck in my head, but I'm okay. I actually have to go watch it. Because at the end of the music video, when he starts throwing himself against the doorway so he can be, oh my God, it's a better love story than Twilight, I swear.
It's so iconic that I remember seeing that remade as like 5 years ago, like some current stars. It wasn't Saturday Night Live, but it was like a parody of it. And it was for a commercial or something. Anyway, it influenced 20, 30 years later. Someone did something else with it, paying homage to it. No one did that with dolls, though. I don't think.
Dolls, you live on with me forever. I'll tell everyone about this movie and I'll tell them to watch it.
I did misspeak. That movie is in the Empire box set from Arrow Video. It's a beautiful box set. I haven't opened it, but I've seen what it looks like on the inside.
Do you guys want to rate it? Not the box set, the movie. Dolls. You guys want to rate Dolls?
You want me to go first?
You always go first.
I always go first.
Every episode you ask who's going to go first, but you always go first.
See, I had fun with this because we were out of town. We're in a hotel. I'm sharing the bed with Finley because no one else wants to sleep next to her because she's like a fucking wild animal kicking you all night. And we're watching Dolls.
You got to have the experience with her that Leah kind of had with her family then, so that's cool.
So you watched it with Finley?
Yeah, yep.
Oh, what'd she think of it?
I've seen it before, so I was like, it's not bad. There's nothing in it that I'm going to be like, oh my God. So she liked it. She wanted to watch it again. I was like, no, we're going to go home and watch Goosebumps. They're watching the new Goosebumps TV show that came out maybe last year. They've been binge watching that, and it's fine. I mean, what I've seen of it, it's fine.
Did you elbow her and go, Finley, look, there's a nipple.
No,
you see the nip slip?
She told me. No.
No.
Listen, the other day, story time with Brian, the other day, she says, I can spell the F word. And I'm like, no, you can't, really? So she wrote it out on her little thing that you write on and push the button to erase it. And I'm like, where did you learn how to spell that? And I taught myself. And then the next day, she's walking around the house. I'm an F word. I'm an F word. I'm an F word. And I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, well, I'm an F word. My name's Finley. It starts with F. And I was like, oh my God, can we go to the park or something? And she could spell ass too. I'm not sure who taught her that. I mean, I did teach her to flip people off on command. You know, I'll say, Finley, tell them about it. And she just real slow will go, we just drive off from the coffee shop usually.
That's so funny because I saw this picture earlier. It was something, and it was when you're tired of your mom taking selfies or whatever, and it was a mom taking a selfie. And in the background, there was a young girl flipping off, and it looked just like Finley. I almost shared it to you. Then I was like, oh, no, it's just dumb, you know. But now you're telling me she does that. Well, remind Finley if she gets too far out of control that the last time she said the F word, she had to write Santa a letter saying that she was sorry and she would never do it again.
But then she blamed it on me.
Well, you and I did put her up to it. It was kind of, yeah. And now that I think about it, I had a shitty Christmas that year, too. Oh, wow.
Man.
Did you write an apology letter to Santa?
No, it just hit me, and I'm being dead serious that I should have because I had a real fucked up Christmas that year.
Yeah,
wow.
Kind of like the Easter after you killed the Easter bunny.
I know, and now I got the bad woman luck. Oh, man. Ooh, I've got some shit to... Let's hurry up and wrap this show up. I got things I got to do.
You gotta write some letters.
I had an experiences with this movie, and I gave it an 8 out of 10 evil stepmothers. I could see where you're coming from, Clint. If I would have watched it by myself, it probably wouldn't have... I've seen it before, and I don't remember, like, loving it the first time. It was fine. I'd probably been like a 6 out of 10 if I watched it by myself. It's not something I'd ever tell other people, don't watch that. It's absolute garbage, like we do with like Demoniacs. Even that, though, I'm not like, don't watch that. Watch it because the lady's beautiful in it and it's got a funny story.
Face it, they put out a 4K because we say the word demoniac 72 times an episode. There's another drinking game.
Yeah. So 8 out of 10 because of the experience I had. What about you guys?
Should we let's have Leah go last since she's technically a guest, sort of. I'm going to make it short and sweet, and I'm just going to tell you that I rate this 4 out of Dead Madonnas. 4 out of 10 Dead Madonnas. Didn't enjoy the film. I didn't have the amazing experience that you guys did with your kids. My kids are a little bit older now, and we're past that. I think another problem I had with this movie, and as I set myself up, Brian, you've talked about this before, where you watch something really good shortly before. And if you remember, Brian, a couple days prior to this, maybe the day before, I told you I watched Deathgasm from 2015, which I absolutely love. And I was going to bring that up earlier when we were talking early in this episode. We were talking about the news and the Ash vs. Evil Dead, the Evil Dead universe. And Deathgasm, you could see, was very Evil Dead inspired. That could almost be a movie in that universe. But so I really love Deathgasm, which was the complete opposite of Dolls. And then I sit down to watch Dolls, and I'm just kind of like, I love Full Moon. I know this wasn't Full Moon. I love Charles Band. I love Puppet Master. Did not dig it. I don't have any interest into watching it again. But I've seen worse. 4 out of 10 Dead Madonnas. Girls don't want to have fun because they're dead.
That's Cyndi Lauper.
It's all the same thing, right?
Just bouncy pop girls from the 80s. It's all the same.
Fucking period.
No.
You don't have to say fucking, just period.
I say sharp fucks. You know, it's like the exclamation point. So I don't even have to say period exclamation point because I put the exclamation point before the period when I said fucking period.
That was sharp. Okay. All right. I've kind of said it, but I'll say it again. In my opinion, complete opposite of Clint. I think that this had a great story. I liked all the world building that they did of sorting out the characters. It's got some horror, it's got some gore, it's got a lot of comedy too, in my opinion. So for that, I'm gonna give it 10 out of 10 teddy bears. This is still one of my favorite movies. It completely holds up to time. Now, mind you, I do acknowledge I'm coming from a tunnel of nostalgia. It's a nostalgic film for me. It's one of those things where it could be the absolute worst, and I think I would still love it just because of the fond memories connected to it. If you want something that is gateway horror, then this is what you're looking for. Brian said no, it's not. Fuck it.
Maybe like 12-year-old, 13-year-old gateway horror, not like 8-year-old. My 5-year-old, yes.
I don't know who is more terrified. Me having to watch this movie because I had to watch it, or the teddy bear at the end that Judy gave to the old couple. She gets Teddy back and she's getting ready to leave, and she runs back and she goes, I think Teddy wants to stay here with you. And all I could think of is Teddy's going, no, kid, don't fucking leave me here. Take me with you.
I did think that was weird that she left Teddy. That was the one thing where I was like, he sat in the woods, he waited for you, that you got Teddy back. Why are you ditching out on him?
She's nowhere near as loyal as the toys that she's gifted with, right? He said toys are loyal.
Oh, that made me sad. Oh, Judith.
I happen to know a group of people who are way more loyal than Judy's fucking ditch the teddy bear ass. And that happens to be all of the people involved with the PFPN, our podcast network. So let's hear from them.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
So now that you've heard from our podcast network, it's time for This Day in Horror. And we're covering May 12th through the 25th.
A date which will live in infamy.
And I feel like I say this every episode, or I've said it every episode lately. Not a lot fucking going on. I mean, May 13th in 1977, we get The Car and Day of the Animals. 1988, we get Friday the 13th Part 7. Is that the one with the psychic chick?
Yeah, with Lar Park Lincoln. Mm-hmm.
I kind of like that one. Maybe more than some of the other ones. The same day in 1988, we get Maniac Cop, which is good. I like Maniac Cop. You like that one?
Yep.
May 21st in 1969, we get The Green Slime. Remember that one?
Yes. Green Slime.
It was filmed in 68, and this was like its general theatrical release. You get some of these older movies that aren't very popular, and they'll have like a release in Seattle, a release in Detroit, a release on VHS. And then in 1976, you get Grizzly. In May 24th, 1979. I think this movie's pretty popular, I think. Dawn of the Dead. Heard of that one?
That and Green Slime, and Dawn of the Dead buries Green Slime. So Leah's like taking notes, like, okay, judge based off their reactions, I don't have to watch Grizzly, I don't have to watch Car, but it looks like I have to watch Green Slime and Dawn of the Dead, and I'm going to underline those two with some exclamation points. Yeah.
Yep, there you go.
Dawn of the Dead for its 45th, which I thought was celebrated last year, but apparently it's this year. I don't understand how that works. Maybe it's the different release dates like you're talking about, Brian. But for the 45th anniversary, Dawn of the Dead is playing in theaters again around the country in just weird select spots. And of course, shortly after this episode comes out, June 7th, 8th, and 9th, and that's just off memory, not looking at it, is Living Dead Weekend at the Monroeville Mall. This year they're celebrating Creep Show, and they're celebrating Night of the Creeps, my all-time favorite fucking horror movie. And I will not be there vending, but I will be there attending.
Oh, are you going? Well, that'd be fun.
Love that.
I'm gonna go down for a day. Yeah, maybe stay the night and come back.
And in 1995, Tales from the Hood.
I actually like that movie.
Yeah, that's not a bad one. So no, I mean not awful. I feel like we're getting a lot of
Pretty awful.
the list. You mean
Overall, as a whole, it's kind of pretty awful.
it's kind of like a full moon movie. There's like a couple good things in it, but it's not. You're not like it's great.
Right, you were reading the movies off, and I'm like, this is boring, too much character development. Nip slip, nip slip, nip slip. Okay. This is boring. When is this going to end? I should be sleeping. I have to go to work in the morning. There's some gore. Well, not really. Okay. Well, Leah liked the movie, so.
I like everything.
So you will be going to Pennsylvania before this episode comes out.
No.
This comes out May 12th.
After. I'll be going after. Because that's June. I think 7th, 8th, and 9th without looking at it. Yep.
So they have time to go and get their tickets and go see our friends in Pennsylvania.
Yes.
God, I had fun in Pennsylvania. I'm going to go back there again someday. Not this year.
There's some sites that we didn't get to see. Had a blast there. I'm looking forward to going and seeing our friend Jim Crutt. He's going to be set up there. Yeah, I haven't seen Jim or talked to him in a while. Just been busy. So I was hoping to meet up with him in Gettysburg earlier in April, but wasn't able to. So yeah, I'm excited.
You got anything going on, Leah?
Absolutely not. I just work and rot away in bed.
That's pretty cool. We transition from this day in horror, just flat out straight main line to what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
No, in all actuality, joking aside, is that May 4th, so we're filming on the April 28th, but May 4th is the official halfway to Halloween. And so that, in my opinion, is when all of the events are kicking up. So there's a lot more. Halloween, in my opinion, is starting sooner and sooner every single year. So, and obviously for a lot of us, it's a year-round thing. It never ends. But I do feel like May 4th, once that halfway to Halloween hits, that's when a lot of people are going to start their events and things like that. So while I have a couple things picked out that I'm going to, mostly the Screamers costumes May 4th event, I guess when this comes out, I'll have already gone. I hope I had fun. But that's what I'll be doing throughout the summer, is going and hitting up all those fun Halloween events.
Well, I hope you have fun too. And I'm sure Clint hopes you have more fun than he did watching this movie.
Yes.
That's fine. You know what? I made you watch it. It's good. You know what? Remember that time you guys made me watch Darius? Sucks, doesn't it?
Now.
At least no one lost their
yet.
uterus in this one.
Those balls are still around.
Not yet.
I don't think I have anything. I'm going to do another guest spot on the YouTube channel, 3 Corners of Horror. I was a guest this month on that show, and they invited me back, so they kind of liked my southern accent. They didn't make fun of it, but they're like, "You're from down south like us," and I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm like 3 hours from Chicago."
Why does everybody fucking say that?
So I think
You started talking about John Deere tractors again, didn't you?
other than that, I think everything that I have planned will have happened, but I'm sure by then I'll have something else to do. I know we're going to Kentucky later this year, but I don't know. Maybe there's some like cool death sites or movies filmed in Kentucky, something like that.
Oh, I'm sure there is.
Wrong Turn or some shit like that. Lost our listeners in Kentucky. Check that off the 50 states. Maybe, I don't know.
We still had some.
And they know where to find us, right? They know where to find Leah. They know where to find you. Okay.
I'm on Pure Macabre on Instagram.
Facebook, right?
If they don't know, now they do. Facebook as well, yes, and TikTok. But TikTok might be getting bans, so oops.
What are you going to do for your mass thirst traps then? Oh, yeah, the hard-hitting questions here. If you know anywhere Leah can get her mass thirst traps, if TikTok's banned, you can email, puremacabre@gmail.com?
puremacabre@gmail.com. I'm probably going to be a sad person on Instagram Reels, just looking for something desperately.
Other than that, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You know where to find us. And help Leah with her problem.
Please stop.
We got Clint, anything?
Well, yeah, I already told you. I'm fucking going to Living Dead Weekend.
Other than that, nothing.
Well, yeah, I always got shit going on. You know that. You want to know all about it? Okay, hold on.
Where can they find you,
Wait.
Clint?
Okay, so, oh God, they can find me out on US 12, 7304 US 12 in Onstead, Michigan. That is where you'll normally find me. No, hey, same old stuff. Convention season's gearing up. Again, I'm getting ready to go visit Limited Weekend here pretty soon. Going to go down for a day. The shows have been booked. It's now go time to start stocking for the shows. I don't know. I always hate to repeat myself. I got a lot of shit going on, and it does not stop. I am a fucking machine, but I need to plug back in and recharge a little bit. Other than that, just hanging out with you fucking barrels of laughs, you goofy bastards. Yeah. And watching sometimes really good and sometimes really bad movies.
Until next time.
What are we covering next?
Night of the Creeps.
Are we doing Night of the Creeps next?
I thought you said that.
Did I? No, I was talking about Living Dead Weekend. Night of the Creeps is going to be represented at Living Dead Weekend. Is that what we're covering next, is Night of the Creeps?
You have said several times throughout the last episodes, my all-time favorite horror movie, Night of the Creeps.
Look, I just celebrated a birthday, and I'm a little senior. I got some senioritis, and I don't mean because school's almost out. I mean because the brain's kind of rattling around up in there.
I feel like after Dolls and Son of Godzilla and Demoniacs, we owe you the gift of Night of the Creeps.
God bless everyone. Night of the Creeps. Night of the fucking Creeps. What were you going to say? Hold on. Go say it.
I was just going to say I'm so glad I could add to your suffering that Dolls is right there on that list of just repeatedly week after week just beating Clint down and being like, you like horror? Watch this.
Yeah. You're going to change your mind, and you guys have changed my mind. All I do now is watch crime movies. I've been working my way through the Equalizer series recently with Denzel Washington. I got people who are like, how come you never watch horror movies anymore? And I'm like, because I don't know if I want to anymore. I'm questioning my very existence. But if we are covering Night of the fucking Creeps next episode, then with a very enthusiastic till next time.
Hey, what's wrong with you, man? Show some fucking respect for the dead, will ya?